Okie dokie. Let's get this stuff started. Where'd I put my music? Pretty sure it's still okay. Ah, it's close enough. Okay, so what we're working on today. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. Okay, so let's see. See if I have any comments to reply to. Oh, I should probably tweet this, so let me grab the link for today. Copy. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. Okay. There we go. So the tweeter's out. Idle timer is done. Okay, so website stuff is done. Let's see. Okay, so I didn't record anything over the weekends because I was lazy. So I've got to do that sometime soon. Let's set this to word wrap. Let's see, format, text wrapping, wrap. Okay. So this week I was going to. This one's not wrapping either. What the heck? Okay, seriously. Let's just format, wrapping, wrap. There we go. So let's see. I think I was going to work on moving over the drag and drop example. And then I'm actually going to work on all the FPS stuff this week. I'm going to go ahead and update that and add in a bunch of things that are missing and basically try to expand the FPS. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the hands one, or perhaps the hands one. The animated crouch was a pain in the butt, but I can still do that. I'm going to let's see, right here. This on the other one. Let's see, setting up an assault mode. Time trial to get from start to end and go for a score. Targets are in fixed positions. There we go. So that'll be a fun week. Let me know. I think I need to knock this one out though, like I planned on. I really need to get this hotbar system moved over. And good morning, Pro Tools. So let's find my project. Here's my project. And that's gonna be a concept. Now I already did. See, I think that's what I was working on. I think this was me in the middle of working on it. Let's find out. Or is this the data-driven hotbar? Which one is this one? Oh man, I don't remember this. Let's find out which one this one is. Loop through the number of buttons we have. I think this was the dynamic hotbar. I think I've already, I gotta keep track of the ones that I'm doing here. Because I keep losing track. Let's see, have I done a hotbar? Good morning, Sterling. Let's see, hotbar. Dynamic data-driven hotbar. Okay, so we already did that one. So I think I need to start tagging these with. Oh, you can't use the star. Let's see. You can't use. Can we use a dash? Yeah, we'll start doing that. So anytime I've finished one of these videos, we'll put a dash behind it. Just so that way I know I've done it. I don't get lost halfway through doing the recording process. So how's everyone doing this morning? Anyone actually doing anything, or we're all just goofing off? Because I know I'm goofing off. I'm waiting for Paragon update tomorrow. So I'm just goofing off. Okay, we have not done persistent variables. Okay, good. So this lets me know which ones I've done. Good. So which one was I working on? Hotbar and skill system. Let's go with simple. We'll go with simple hotbar and skill system. Is what we're going to call this one. Simple hotbar and skill system. Okay. Let's find the project, which should be right here. Good morning, Eddie Pot. Looks like everyone's just wandering up, getting up recently. Anyone has any questions or projects, feel free to toss them out like normal. If not, the plan for today is to move this example, my little hotbar system, which I can't remember the button for it. Wait, what's my button? Wasn't it I? Okay, now I'm confused. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Move this little system. Dragging, dropping. Everything done by data-driven skill tables. And if I remember right, this is also a SVN, if I can remember where I put it. But basically turning this into a concept. And then I'm going to work on adding more stuff to the FPS MVP series, because I think that would be fun. Pro Tools. I have played with VR a little bit. I've done a jam game in VR, and I've done a series in VR just to get people up and running and make kind of like a simple first-person shooter type VR game. Well, actually, even, I guess, just more of a literal first-person shooter. So I played with it a bit, but I haven't played with it actively in probably 2 months at this point. Man, this is a lot of stuff. Okay, so I don't know where my project went to. Here we go. Let's do a new level, because we need a new level. Of course. Freaking circular friggin' dependencies. Thank you. Let's see, this one, oh my god, I should have fixed I should have fixed up redirectors before I tried to save. Can I do them all at once? I have no idea. I hope that fixed that. Oh, let me close this project and open it back up. Okay. I'm gonna friggin' abandon children. The Nick, okay, so the Nick, I actually got the email, but I can't just reply to the email. I was hoping you would show up so that way you can explain to me in more detail. So actually we can start working on the Nick's project right now. And of course, oh, son of a gun. Okay. I'm gonna have to fix that. So I made an example project using exactly what you sent me in the email, but I don't know where your problem is. The problem is I don't know exactly how you have set your stuff up. So I'm going to walk through what I have done, the Nick, based on what you sent me, and you need to tell me what's different in yours. Because I copied all of your code, and I can, for example, I mean, you've got your character here, which we have here, and I copied over everything as best as I could. And then I have a pause menu, which just simply has a close button, because I don't know what your pause menu is. And I mean, I can run the example, I can hit the M button to bring up the menu here, and I can close it. My character still moves. M button brings up the menu, and I can close it. So, where's your problem, basically? What are you pressing in what order to do what things in order to get your error? So feel free to just let me know some more things, either take more screenshots or just try to clarify where your issue is, because as far as I can tell, I copied your button press, your P game blueprint, and your un-P game blueprint. And when I run it, it works fine for me. So while I do other stuff, the Nick just, you saw what I did. I hit play. I can move my mouse and my character. I can hit the M key. My menu comes up because this is all I have in mine. I don't know what's in yours. I can click the close button. The menu closes and my character still moves. I can pull my menu back up and it's still there. So there's more that I don't have from you. I either need more screenshots or to give me more of an explanation. So we'll work on that as you give me more info, while I work on getting this one moved over and fixed. Okay, so I need to go through and fix these stupid things. Because I forgot to fix the redirectors. Why are we not deleting? You are going to be a giant pain in my butt, aren't you? You are, son of a gun. Okay. We know this one's empty. Yeah. Whoa, okay, so those are just see, but I already fixed the redirectors. You seriously are gonna do this to me? Well, let's hope these things don't break. Okay. There we go. Okay, the Nick. I don't know what you mean by a main menu. I have a menu I created, a pause menu, that when I hit play and I hit your M key, it opens up. That's all I had in what you gave me. You had this right here, and then when they do the P game, it loads up, it creates that widget, the pause menu, and adds it to the viewport. Is your main menu different than your pause menu? Or is it the same thing? When you hit the M, your main menu loads up. I'm going based on what you sent me. And if it is this same menu, I don't know what's in it. I just have a close button because, well, I have no idea what's in yours. Either take a screenshot of your menu or your menus and send them to me. Yeah, but I copied everything you sent me and put it in here, and I have no issues. So my guess is you have multiple menus or a single menu that simply doesn't close itself properly. I don't know. Just send me more screenshots is the easiest way, and I can copy them right now on stream. And then we can try to figure out where your issue comes in. Okay. I'll attempt to fix this for the 4th time. I friggin' hate redirectors. I know why they exist, I just still hate them. I can't wait for the new year, and I can start a whole new project that'll be completely empty and blank and fresh. That'll be so nice. Okay, so new folder. This was the simple hotbar and skills. Okay. So we're going to work on copying code from the other project. So the nice thing is, okay. So I remember everything. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this all by scratch in super fast mode is what we're going to do. And that way, hopefully I can refresh my memory. So we have a map, which is duh. It's a map. Simple hardware and skills map. So that was kind of silly. We have some UI, so new folder for UI. Which for some reason I have. What the hell? Man, I have so much stuff in here that I don't remember. This is awesome. Okay, well let's set this stuff up as best as possible. So we have some data. We're gonna pull from the data because this is can I drag and drop between projects? I've never done that before. Oh, you can't. That would be kind of cool. Wait, can you copy paste between projects? I can, right? Copy paste. Oh, you can't copy paste between projects. At least, yeah, just nodes. Oh man, that would have been so cool. Oh well. So we need a new struct. It's our skill struct. And our skill struct has 3 things in it. So let's see. Oops, that would be 4. We have the skill ID, which is just a numeric value for the ID. Skill name, which is just a string, and then the image, which would probably be appropriate if I just named it like that. So this should be a texture 2D. And then our skill name is going to be a string, and this should be an integer. And in theory, we should be able to fill all this up inside of our data table from a CSV file. So let's see. Where's our data tables at? Here we go. Over our skill struct. There we go. And then what do I have to? I'm trying to remember how appropriate way to do this. Yeah, because it's just our data table full of data, and I imported this from an see what happens when I don't play with stuff in a long time. See, I thought I have to put the CSV file in here, but that can't be it. Oh, you just import it. Okay, there we go. Oh, I gotta rename it. Okay, so let's rename that to make it match. So what we're going to do is open up our file explorer, desktop, temp. We have our skills CSV file, which technically, that's right, I was going to show how to do all of this inside of Google Docs. Let's find that. Let's find our skills. Oh, where did I put my skills? Oh wait, it was drag and drop skills. There we go. Okay, and then this is going to be skill image. There we go. Select the things, download as CSV. Go ahead and put that in our desktop, temp, skill CSV. There we go. Okay, so that's appropriate now. Now we can go ahead and import that. I wish that was a little more intuitive. Like you had the ability to create your data table and then link a CSV up to the data table, rather than having to import the CSV to create the correct data table. That would be handy. Okay, now obviously we're failing miserably at this because we don't have the correct images. So we need to put our images into here. So new folder, images, and I stole some images from the, why is this under data? Seriously? Okay, so the nice thing is we get to steal images from the rest of the project. So filters, textures, And let's see, we're going to steal this one. And let's see, I have fire, ice, sword, slash. Let's see, what would be good? I did a turtle for ice on the other project. And I used him for sword slash. Ooh. I use this for the sword slash. There we go. Where's that? There's a turtle in here somewhere. I don't know where he's at. Where there's a little blue turtle in here somewhere. There he is. I used him for slow. And then I used the check mark for the generic one. So we'll go ahead and we'll go with that one right there. Okay. So this will be our fire. This will be our ready. This will be our ice. And that's ice. And this will be the sword slash. Sword slash. There we go. Now save all. Now we should be able to re-import, assuming I did this properly. And our images should be linked up. There we go. Good. Yep. Okay, cool. You know what? I should probably give a... Where'd my thing go? See, this is my... Oh, no, I left it blank so that way there's no skill name there. Yeah, we'll just... That's why we left it blank. Okay, cool. So we have our data set up. So now I can do that. We're obviously going to need our normal stuff. So we'll go with game. And we're going to need our game mode. Go. This will be the simple hotbar and skills game mode. These things are getting long. And we need a player controller. Simple hotbar and skills player controller. Getting that one's gonna suck. I'll make a macro for it. I'll make a macro for it. That's a smart idea. And then simple hotbar and skills on. And hello, Camponk. Let's see. So we have our game mode. Let's set up our game mode. Our game mode is going to have our player controller and our default pawn. There we go. Okay. So our game mode's good. We need to assign our game mode to our map, or else we're going to get really confused on why it doesn't work. There we go. And simple. Hit play. It probably won't work. Oh, no. Good. It worked first time. Good. All right. So we've got those set up properly now. We've got our images set up. We have to do all of our UI and our coding still, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm pretty sure our pawn held our... Yeah. Right? No. Where the hell did I put the code? Seriously. I'm looking through my example, and I don't remember where I put any of the code. That's kind of cool. Right. This is the simple example map. Here we go. No, this is the simple example map. Wait a minute. Oh, this is the simple example. That's right. I pulled the code in. Okay. Now I'm remembering what I did here. Wait, no, I don't. Wait. Okay, now I'm confused. You ever go back to something after like a month and wonder what you even did? Because that's what I'm doing right now. The only thing I have left in here is my... Oh, did I do it in the player? I did it in the player controller is what it is. Okay. Okay. I was trying to figure out where I put the code that initialized everything, and I did it in the player controller. That is highly amusing. Okay. So that makes more sense. So let's set up our UI. Let's make sure our UI is at least in here. Let's see. User interface. We'll call this one... Let's see. We have 5 UMGs. This is the drag skill display. This is what happens when we drag it. so we can change it to whatever we want. And then we have the main player UI, where we put our skill book and our hotbar. We have the skill bar itself at the bottom. Actually, since we call this a hotbar, it'd probably be smarter to just call this the hotbar then. And let's see. We have our hotbar slot. So this is an individual slot in the hotbar for each of our skills. Then we have our skill book itself, and then we have the slots inside the skill book. Slot. There we go. So there's our, that's all we're going to need for our entire UI. We have the bar at the bottom and the things that go in it. We have the book and the things that go in it. We have what happens when we drag it, and then we have everything to hold everything. So that's convenient. So that should be all of our UI. Now we just need to actually make all of our code. So let's have our player, let's do our player code. So here's all my player code, which no one can see. So, you know, look at all the code. Look at all the code. Yeah, isn't the code awesome? I know, no one can see it. Okay. So here's actually the, whoa, why is that black? I did some, okay. Now I'm starting to get really scared at, okay. So when I originally created this example, I decided to put the controls inside of the controller rather than inside the player. Now, for anyone who's paying attention, I'm curious on what your personal preferences are. This is meant to mimic a hotbar and skill system. Think of like World of Warcraft, any MMO, any game that allows you to push like 1, 2, 3. I mean, even something technically like League of Legends or something like that could work if you use the skill book as more of like an inventory. But for something like that, would you put all of the controls in the controller? Like creating the UI, managing the UI, I push a button and this happens? Or would you put that inside the player itself? I'm curious what personal preference. Or would you put it somewhere else, actually? I'm definitely curious on what your guys' personal preferences are. Okay. Whatever soundtrack is, I really like this. It's got to be a Final Fantasy soundtrack, right? No, oh, it's a Persona 4 soundtrack. I like that. Okay. Oops. I apparently have another. Okay, I don't need that open anymore. I don't need that. Okay. Let's see. So, I'm going to create a widget, store a reference to it. Oh, you know what's so funny about this? I already went through and coded and commented the entire other example. Is there... Okay. Maybe I can get some feedback on this one before I get too deep into this one. The original idea of the skill bar one, which is why it's... Oops, that's the playground. It's over here. Why it's in its own project was intended to be an MVP project. A smaller one, but still an individual standalone project. Start to scratch from a blank project, creating a basic system here, using data tables to drive things, images based on what you show, having the ability to adjust the book to whatever size you want, have it autofill, same thing with the hotbar, and basically from scratch showing how to do a basic system like this. I didn't think it was really enough to merit a full series by itself, so my idea was to then simply convert it over to a concept video, explain the higher level parts of it and the key points of the code, and then put the code out there like all the other concept videos. Anyone see any preference or opinion on that one? If this was a standalone one, basically it would explain everything I've been doing right now. Starting up, setting up your project, getting your data tables, creating the data tables, creating the skills on Google Docs, exporting those, importing those in, creating up your basic game systems, your game mode, your pawn, and your controller, putting all of our code into our controller. This is all of our code in our controller, handling our keys and handling stuff like that, setting up all of our individual UI elements to handle the button, mouses, drags, drops, all that stuff. So I am definitely curious. Should I just leave it as a concept and do not? So I leave it as an MVP series and break it out into like 5-10 minute videos, or should I do it as just a straight concept video as an overview and do it in like one 30 to 40 minute video? And if I don't get an answer, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll roll a dice. Right now it's only dedicated to a single player game. I don't see the issue with it being multiplayer with the way this is designed, because it pulls all the data from a skill system in here, wherever it went to. For example, this data could either be pulled from the server and then the server could feed it to the client, or because technically this is all just appearance stuff, it would be local, and then it would just simply have an ID that it would pass to the server, and then the server would fire the ID and then do the event appropriately. So it's pretty simple to, if this was single or multiplayer. It's not really dedicated either one. It's meant to be as expandable as possible. Because technically, if you're inside of like the player controller and you have a right here where we're just testing the keys, all you would do is figure out which key was pressed, whoops, and pass whatever skill is appropriate to the server. So yeah, so basically, like, see where it does this and does this, it gets the skill that's been pressed. All you'd have to do is technically just get the skill ID and send that to the server, and then tell the server, hey, I just did this, and then the server would get, okay, well, here's the result of doing this type thing. So yeah, really simple. I'm really hoping I can start moving into multiplayer in January. I'm hoping that doing these other FPS things that I want to do this week will get the FPS MVP series into a state where it's got a full complete game loop now, and then I can easily start adding in a multiplayer. Maybe you have it where the assault mode, for example, is multiplayer, where it's really simple, basic multiplayer stuff. The shooting gallery, for example, could be. So like you could basically move these over to multiplayer as learning multiplayer. That's what I'm hoping. Good. I'm glad you're back, Headclot. I had a quick question I was querying people about, and I'd love your opinion on it. When I originally designed this example, it was designed as a series, so a series of smaller sections, creating all, just like my MVP stuff. This would be one for a simple hotbar and a skill system. So, you know, a video on creating your basics, a video on how data tables work and getting data in from something else like Excel or Google, setting up our basic game stuff with our inputs, setting up all of our UI for dragging and dropping, setting up our controller to take care of everything. So, you know, 5-10 minute-ish videos, each one covering a different thing to create the complete example, which you see here, which is, you know, a skill system, which is adjustable, the ability to drag and drop, the ability to fire off things and have it react based on what you pushed. Something really simple. But doing it in an MVP series where we're doing it completely from scratch, and I explain how to do everything. The other idea, which is what I was technically working on right now, but I've decided to stop for now, is to turn that all into a concept where it's just one video of 30 to 40 minutes, and I go, here's the code, here's how it works, here's what I did to do it, and I do a high-level overview with a few key points on how I did things, but not an actual from-scratch project. I'm wondering which one you think might be better, a better way of doing this. Either one would work. I'm just wondering if it's worth it to do a complete from scratch for something like this. Yeah, Pro Tools brings up a good, yeah, Pro Tools brings up a good point on that when you're designed for the single player and multiplayer. I'm thinking if I do this as the MVP series, where it's the set of them, then it gives me the ability to do an extra later, where I can add in a multiplayer to it. Yeah, it does make it more digestible. I'm thinking I'll keep it like this. I'll keep it as a series instead of a concept. And then I can add on extra, and I can do multiplayer. Show how to turn this into a multiplayer. How you would send the information to the server, have the server validate, and do things like that. So it allows me to easily expand upon this for later. Yeah, okay. I think I'll keep this as a series then. I definitely appreciate the feedback on that one. Let me figure out where the hell I put it then. No, I like that. No, we're not going to do this. We're going to do this as an MVP series. So I need to break this apart then. Turn into multiple videos. Okay, so we'll do that then. Good morning, Elusive. Okay, so the Nick has a new linky. If I can copy paste. There we go. So let's see if we can find anything based on the link he sent me. Oh, he also sent it to me in email. That makes it a little easier. Okay. This is the main menu, not a pause menu. Okay. Okay, so we're going to see if we can help Nick. Nick has got a example here. So this is what I have so far, and it's working for me, but he's having troubles. So he sent me a few more things, and I'm going to see if I can copy what he has into here, and then we can figure out why his stuff is preventing input. And good morning, Elusive. So he has a main menu. So let's make a new user interface widget blueprint. We'll call this one the Nick main menu. And his main menu has a let's see, main menu, create a main menu, a new level, call it go or so, make your main menu, functionality start the play level, exit, start with open level, exit console. Okay, so he's got two buttons. So we got a button, we've got some text, buttons. Oh, you can't change the size font. There we go, that's what I was hoping. Okay, so this one's gonna be start. This is going to be so ugly, but I don't care. And exit. And both of these buttons, this is supposed to be start button and an exit button. And our exit button is really simple. It simply calls quit. And there, you don't need a console command. Yeah, just do a quit game. There we go. Okay, so you had it in there. And then our start button, you have it setting to open level. So it looks like it opens level. So you have two different maps than the Nick. I'm assuming you have a main map, which is your main menu, and then you have another map that has like your character and stuff in it, and that's where your pause menu is at. So let's go with let's make a new level, and we'll call this one the Nick main map. Open this one up. And I'm assuming in here you let's see, create widget. Anything I'm not doing correctly, the Nick, feel free to let me know. There's no way I can really help you if I don't know exactly what you're doing, or don't know exactly what you have. I'm gonna go based on what you have. Let's see, set UI. And Headcloth, yes, you can either ask for the tutorial, leave a comment somewhere asking for a tutorial series, or you can just add it as a comment on the Google Doc for where all my other crap is at. I don't really care. Feel free to ask whatever you want. The worst thing I can do is not be able to do it. I did the same note twice. That was awesome. Okay. So this should give us a main menu with start and exit. Okay, so that works fine. And then our main map, so we'll call this one the Nick, and we'll call this one game level. This is what we'll call this one. copy that over, find our main menu, open the map. Okay. So we should have our main menu. If we start, it should load up our character. So that's what we're expecting. The Google Doc is on the YouTube page and right here, right there. Let's go back to this. Okay, so I'm assuming your main menu works like I have set up here. You have your two buttons, exit, exit, start calls an open level and opens your main level. I'm assuming that works right. Or hoping it works right, I should say. Because based on this, start with open level, exit with console command. Okay, and now in our pause menu, make the continue functionality, make the to main menu functionality with open level called your main menu, continue, cast first person, unpause game and player phone. Yeah, which this one should. Yeah, get player character, cast to the Nick character, and unp game. So I've got that one right at least. So let's name this one. This one's called to main. Oh no, this one's continue. Continue. So basically unpause, and then we'll make another button and size the content. We'll give it some text, and this one is to main menu, like that. So we have a to menu. Oops, I dragged the wrong thing. This one will be our main menu button. And drag. There we go. So we have our to continue and our to main menu, like that. And our main menu button, you have it. It looks like it's an open level, right? Let's see. Open level. And that one's called what? The Nick main map. Okay. Oops, I gotta find the right one. Okay, so we have that. So in theory, if we start the game, exit works. We start the game, start works. We have this. I can't hit M, unfortunately, because I'm not giving access to the game mode. So I would need to take my main map, for example. Stop telling me things can't be loaded, because I have them loaded already. Come on. Oh, for frick's sake. Thank you. Thank you. There we go. So when the game level starts up, for example, this one needs to have a controller, and then set game and set mouse, because we don't want the mouse to be shown, and we want it in game mode when it starts off, or else it's going to inherit the game input from the previous one. So if we go back to our main map, hit play and hit start, yep, character works fine, M works fine, continue should bring us back, M works fine, main menu goes back to my main menu. Okay, so then I have everything working on my side at this point that I can tell. So main menu, check. Start, you're in the play level, check. Press pause menu key, check. And pause menu comes up, it works fine. So now press to main menu, check. The main menu level comes up, check. You press start, check. The player level comes up, but you can't move the player. Okay, so your issue with that then, and which I fixed right there because I saw it was already an issue, the Nick. When you are in your right here, let's go with our where's our friggin' main menu? Here we go. So when I load up the main menu right here, I'm setting my input mode to UI only. Maybe you're setting it to something else, or you're just showing the mouse cursor. For example, like let's do nothing here. Let's just do this. Okay. If I was to do like this, oh, I make this up. Here we go. So if you have some sort of input going to your UI right here, like I do here, and like you have inside of here we go. Where's my character? In here. Here we go. So we have our P game right here where you're setting your input mode to UI only. When you're setting your input mode to UI only, you are basically disabling your input to the character. So your M button's not going to work, your mouse movement's not going to work, and your keyboard's not going to work. And it's not going to reset this as you are changing maps. That's your issue. So when you have this set to your UI mode, when you open up your pause menu, then you go back to the main menu, it's still set to UI. Then you go back to the game itself, it's still set to UI. So you have a couple different ways you need to fix this. Basically, you need to think whenever you are changing the game mode, when do you want to change it back? In my case, I did it really simple. Inside of the level map, where you are actually playing your game, in here, our little character moves around and such. When my level starts up, I'm telling it to set the input mode to game only and to not show the mouse cursor. I'm basically saying, hey, I know when this map loads up, I need input to go to my character so he can move, and I need the mouse cursor to be hidden. If you don't want to do it like that, you don't want it to be universal, you want it to where it is appropriate. Inside of your main menu, in here, when you hit the start button and you open a new level, when you are opening a new level, you know that this level has its own settings. So you should probably reset the input back to the appropriate settings. So if you put this code in here, like this, I click the start button, I tell my input to go back to game mode, I hide my mouse cursor, and I open the new level, then you no longer need this stuff in the map. And this is basically going to say, when we're in the main menu, we're basically going to be like, okay, all the inputs going to my user interface. Player hits start. Right when I hit start, I give the input back to the player. I pull up the menu, I take the input from the player. I hit continue, I give it back to the player. Menu, take it away from the player. Go to the main menu. I let the main menu do whatever it wants. When I hit start, again, it goes to the correct thing. So whenever you're in a UMG, a widget inside a user interface, if you're ever in a menu and you have the menu have complete control, you need to make sure you give control back to the player whenever you're done with the menu. So the other option, for example, probably the more appropriate way of doing this is, here's our main menu start button. After we press start, we give control back to the game. Inside of our pause menu, and here's our pause menu here. You notice when you hit continue, you're telling it to do the unp game. We go back to our character, we find unp game, this one right here. And you're doing that already, right here. Set input mode game and show mouse cursor. So you already know you're supposed to do this when you give it back to the player. So this code right here, we would probably want to have right here. So that way when they click the main menu button, we're setting the input back to how it's supposed to be. We're saying, hey, input, go ahead and go back to our defaults. Go ahead and back to give the player the control back. And then inside of your main menu map, in your main menu UI, which we already have set up here, we have the main menu UI loading. Inside of our blueprint, we are setting up right here when we show it. Does the other UI do work, or only one UI is active? You can have as many UIs active as you want. Every single UI can take input. It can pass the input along, or it can absorb the input, basically consume it. So you can have as many active as you want. You just need to take care of handling it appropriately. And good morning, Alex. So what I mean by you can have multiple UIs is just because the UI can be multiple elements. For example, if you were playing a game, you could have a UI, which is the player's health bar, completely separate than the UI, which is the ammo count on the gun, which is completely separate than a mini map, which shows where the player's at, which is completely separate than a skill bar. You can have multiple different UIs for each element inside of your interface. You can also design it where, for example, you have all those elements, but only the hotbar or the skill bar takes the input from the player and does stuff, while everything else is just non-interactive. It's just for appearance sake. It's just to show a value, for example. So I'm hoping that helped the Nick. If it didn't quite, or if you need a little more help, I'll be more than happy to run through it a little bit slower. I might have gone too quickly, but basically you need to think whenever you do something in the game, whenever you take control from something or give control to something, you probably need to balance it out somewhere. It's one of those things, like if actually that's all it is. It's literally something like that. You need to make sure you balance things. If you've ever actually used pure code before, in text, whenever you're doing something that's in a bracket, a opening bracket or brace always needs a closing bracket or brace. It balances it out. So you always have to make sure you have an opening and a closing for something. So in these cases where we're taking the input away from the player, we want to make sure at some point we give it back to the player, or else you're going to run into an issue. How long did it take you to completely understand blueprints? I don't completely understand blueprints, so forever. But at this point, I have been using Unreal Engine since it first came out, so 2 years ago or something like that. And I would say I have a firm grasp on how blueprints work, but the only reason I have a firm grasp on how blueprints work is because I have a programming background and I know how programming works in general. So that helped a lot. A lot of companies will hire coders who know languages over visual. Well, a lot of companies will hire what they need. They're not going to hire a C++ programmer with 10 years of experience if they need someone who's doing JavaScript, for example. So there's honestly no way of saying, you know, if I learn C++, I'm a better hireable candidate than if I know blueprints. You should figure out what you enjoy and figure out what you want to do and then aim for that. Like, for example, if you want to do back-end server development, then you have your, JavaScript is going to be one of those bigger languages, not necessarily back-end server development, but web-based development. JavaScript is going to be one of those big things because you have stuff like your Node.js and things like that, which run a lot of your web stuff. If you want to do coding in hospitals and have a job that you'll never get fired from, you'll learn stuff like C because their systems are so old and antiquated. You want to program video games, pick a language and program video games. You can do it in every single language. There is no correct one. If you want to work for a company, C++ is probably your best bet, simply because most tools are built around C++ as a proven language over the last 20 years or so. It is probably your better bet of getting a programming language career inside of a game studio. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way, because you have online games who have front-end web interfaces, and they could be done in JavaScript. The user interface could be done in a completely different language. For example, they have for fuck's sake, I can't remember what it is. But one of the recent MMOs, for example, their entire interface, I'm not talking about World of Warcraft, there's another one, but their entire interface system is designed in Lua on their back end. So that's an example of a completely different language that could be done inside of a game dev environment. So, in terms of, is it worth it? Learning blueprints, I believe it is. If you are working in Unreal Engine and plan to work in Unreal Engine, learning blueprints is worth it, because you cannot design an entire game around just C++. You need blueprints to work efficiently inside of Unreal Engine. A lot of the systems are tied into the blueprint system. The Anim system, UMG, things like that. The stuff that the players can edit is done in Lua, but I think the back end, they interpret it or something. I don't know, they do something in the back end with it, but there's another stupid game that I can't remember, where the literal entire system they designed in Lua. But yeah, Lua, for example, is a really weird language. I don't like using it, but a lot of because technically it's a scripting language, which we don't get into that discussion. But it's a language that a lot of companies use because it's really quick and easy to pick up and do lightweight stuff in, like interfaces and things like that. But don't give up on Python. That's the other stupid language I was trying to remember for server coding. Yeah, there's no right answer, but do not. If you ever plan on using Unreal Engine professionally or just in terms on using Unreal Engine, do not give up on blueprints. You will have to understand how they work if you want to efficiently use Unreal Engine. I don't think there could be any argument against. There are so many systems tied into blueprints, and Unreal Engine is designed around doing that. You have like the entire Anim system has blueprints. UMG has blueprints. I don't know. There's other stuff. I don't use C++, so I don't know what I can, have to use C++ for. Learn both. Learn both is the best answer. Don't give up on either one. So hopefully Nick got some help. If not, I've got the map still up, Nick. I'm going to go ahead and kill this simple skill bar example because we're going to do it in its own video. So let's go ahead and delete this. Goodbye. Alright, and fix up redirectors. Oh, frickin', I hate. Oh, seriously. This is one of the most annoying things about Unreal Engine 4 is the redirectors, and I know why it's in there. I understand it. I just don't like it. The way that Unity handles asset versioning is just so much better. Okay, so that kind of we're not going to work on that one. So I'm going to work for a little bit on finding my MVP project. I'm going to port it over to 4.14, and I'm going to make sure it works in 4.14. See, look, I literally went through and deleted this entire folder, and it's back. You are the worst thing in the world. Close the project, then delete, which I could swear I did before, but whatever. But no, this is a good time to, if no one's ever doesn't use it much. I don't know, Headcloth. Redirectors are, I hate redirectors. I hate redirectors. I hate rotators. There's so much stuff I hate. But this is a good time for me to look at these things. What the hell? Oh no, those are the other ones. Simple, interact, and inspect. It's a good. Yeah, yeah. You're supposed to not have to delete the folder on your system, and in that case, as you saw, I deleted the folder while the project was open, and then when the project closed, it recreated the folder. Let's see. So this is rename. These are all. Look at that. Oh, that's so annoying. Rename. Okay. So let me go ahead and commit all my changes right now. And then I need to pull down my code from the MVP project. We're going to open it in 4.14 and see if it worked. And then we are going to hope that the entire stream doesn't explode while this is uploading. I guess we'll find out. Okay, I don't think it exploded. That was a good thing. Okay, so we are going to clone an existing project. And we're going to find the MVP FPS that is in our GitHub, because this is our public version. We want to make sure I clone out the public version. No, what? No, I want to clone. Clone, you son of a... I hate that interface. Let's see, where do we want to put this? It goes on the C drive, temp record. Oh, not temp record. Projects. Nope. Let's try that third time. Project. There we go. UE4, and then this is going to be FPS. There we go. And select folder, and there we go. Cool. So we'll pull down the 4.14. And let's find out if it worked, shall we? Added stamina system to sprint. So that should have been the last thing I did for the FPS. Let's find out. Stamina system to our sprint. Yep, okay, cool. So at least we're good there. Now I have to open the project because it's somewhere else now. Let's see. Project UE4. What did I call it? Oh, FPS. Let's see. Let's switch to 4.14 and open it up. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's no explosions. I honestly have no idea. It's obviously I have not touched it. I wonder how long it's been since I touched this project. I should be able to look at the U project file, right? And source tree. Did I close down source tree? Oh wait, hold on. You know what? I'm curious now. Let's find out. I'm curious when the last time I opened this web was. Project 4.10. So it's been 4 versions since I've opened this project. And let's hit play. And shader's compiling. That's a good sign. No errors. I can shoot stuff. Multiple points. All right, look at that. I think I can duck if I remember which key was the duck key. C key. Yeah, look at that. All right, no errors. Look at that. No errors going from 4.10 to 4.14. That's what we like to see. All right. Of course, it's not exactly a very complicated project, but still, it's nice to not see there's any errors. Okay, so the plan then this week is I'm going to expand upon the FPS system. I'm going to add in, obviously at this point I've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 things that I should be adding in. Adding sound is pretty simple, so I'm going to do that one for sure. Animating crouch, I hate this. There's like 4 different ways of animating the crouch in first person, and all of them suck to do. And the bad part is I actually did this once and then lost the project. So I'm going to put that one on a lower priority. Adding a projectile one I think will be fun. Just adding a new weapon like that fires, instead of line trace, it's projectile. So that's easy. Adding a basic enemy, that'll be simple. It's going to be like a sentry gun. FPS hands and weapons. This is where difficulty comes in. I'm thinking of... Okay, so in order to do this properly, you should probably have some sort of an animation. I could do a weapon easy. I can model a weapon inside of the engine itself and just put it in as a child for the mesh. But I should actually have some sort of a hand system, even if it's just... Okay. Let me know if anyone thinks this might be acceptable for something like this. Keep in mind, this is a minimum viable project. It's meant to show the basics of a system. If I created 2 generic hands inside the system using BSPs, export to mesh, and brought it back in. So basically really ugly looking squares to represent hands. But then I showed how to use different weapon models. Like, for example, we'd have a model for our basic gun and a model for our projectile gun, and showed how to pick them up and attach them to a socket so that way they attach properly. So it's your literal basics of static models for your hands and your weapons, but still show how to swap them back and forth in terms of models and attaching them with attach points. No, they're not meant to be good. You got to keep this in mind. This is your minimum viable project. This is a project you take. Yeah, they're not. No, by hands, I meant literally like a flat block with maybe a thumb sticking up type thing, or a literal generic basic thing. They are meant to look like crap. They are not meant to be good. This is an MVP project. Okay. I'm just wondering if that would be a worthy topic to explain how to get multiple weapon models showing using attach points based on which model the person's selecting. So you're basically showing attach points, you're showing selecting weapons. I guess you'd have to have selecting weapons in there as a different one. maybe it's less of FPS hands, but adding in weapon selection, something like this, selecting weapons, and then here, see, because my original idea was to take your hands from the starter content, but if I take it from the starter content, I can't give the project out. So I don't want to do that. So what if we did this? Adding in a basic UI showing our weapons and the ability to change them during gameplay. What if we had that? And then we can have another one where we have MVP extra, adding in visual models for the weapons, adding in basic weapon models, and then attaching them to basic hands based on which weapon the player is using. So something like that. But weapon selection is I think I'm gonna move this one above. Oops, I did not mean to insert. I want to move that. Is that all right? I didn't know you could drag and drop. That's handy. Because I want to set. Oops. Because I want to set these up for. How the. Oh, okay. Yeah, I never knew you could drag and drop. That is awesome. Okay, adding sounds. Add a projectile weapon. Once we have a second weapon, then we add in a weapon selection. Then add in a basic enemy to shoot at. Then we'll add in visual models for the weapons. Then we'll set up our 2 game modes. And then we'll animate crouch if I feel like it. No, I'm glad you've got awesome. I'm glad you got it working the next. Okay. So unless anyone has any other suggestions on other I need to turn this into green. And I need to move this up because I almost missed this. Yeah, I think I'll put this here. So this is my plan then. If anyone has any other suggestions or things they'd like to see or comments, feel free to let me know. If not, this is what I'm going to be working on this week. The goal is to, again, I'm going to take the MVP project. My MVP project is this, which basically from scratch and has a text block on the bottom right. I just noticed. I wonder why there's a text block on the bottom right. But the basic project taught you how to set up your first-person movement, adding something to the UI. You can shoot some targets. Some score goes up. You have targets with multiple health. You have an ending screen. You can restart and give up. And then we added in crouching at one point. And technically we have sprint as well. Whoa, and if I, oh, there we go. So that's our sprint. Okay, so we don't have that set up properly, apparently. I think I broke that at some point. That's supposed to be our sprint amount. So taking that and then adding onto it, and we'll add on sound, then we'll add a projectile weapon, then we'll add in weapon selection, so you can basically push your one key and toggle back and forth, and it'll maintain the weapons and such, ammo and things like that. Which means oh shit. Crap. Okay. Suggestion: would it be possible to get a chain-based objective territory capture system for the FP? I don't. First of all, I can't even read that. Chain-based objective / territory capture system for the FPS MVP series. That makes me think of something like the older like Unreal Warfare or something like that. Basically, you can't push forward until you have taken out or captured a certain area, and it basically locks out future advancement. That's what it sounds like. If I'm wrong, Headclot, feel free to throw in more words and see if I can figure it out. But I also just realized something as I'm going through this. I have no ammo in here. Okay, Actually, I like that idea for next year, basically, because that sounds like it would be a great way to expand upon it. Because, like, for example, I plan on finishing these up here with 2 different game modes, but that sounds like that would be a fantastic game mode to implement for multiplayer. So once we implement multiplayer and add in multiplayer to this, then we add in the new game mode for, like, zone-based capture as a game mode specific for multiplayer. I like that. And yeah, going back to no ammo is bad. I need ammo for my firing modes. Oh, crap. Okay, so I'm gonna have to move firing modes up. Okay, can I please move this up? Thank you. I'm gonna have to add firing modes to here then, because once I get to here, the weapon selection, I need to make sure that they understand storing ammo in the weapon itself rather than on the player, so that way each weapon keeps track of its own stuff. Each weapon keeps track of its own firing states and things like that. Which means I need to add in ammo in here, adding in the firing modes, because right now, since it's basically unlimited firing, if we're going to add in firing modes, then we're going to add in ammo to the weapon at the same time. So that makes sense. Add ammo to the weapons, and then add in the ability to have single fire, 3 burst, and full auto. Because once we have ammo for clips. Okay, we'll do that. Add in a projectile weapon. So now we'll have 2 weapons, and the projectile we can show how to do the fire velocity one. Weapon selection. So basically a UI showing how to change back and forth. Basic enemy. Now that we have weapons and ammo, we'll add in a basic enemy, and this will give us something that fires back. So then we can implement things like give the player health, so we have another way to die. And this also shows the separation of when something's in the player controller, when we lose it, for respawning and stuff like that. Add in visual models for the weapons, so that way we can teach it attach points and stuff like that. Oops, I hit delete somewhere. Use attach points. And then set up a shooting gallery. So this one's going to be really simple, but we'll be able to introduce a manager system and a way to design the shooting gallery's patterns and levels and such based on game design. The designer will be able to actually create new rounds in the editor and script it out, basically. And then set up an assault mode to expand upon basically the shooting gallery, except it's a start to finish with a time trial. So, go from start to finish. Then they have to introduce things such as ducking to get to certain areas, and aiming for targets that might pop up. It'll go well with our sounds. I like that. I think this should be a good chunk of stuff to add on to the FPS thing and start turning it more into a nice whole longer series. I like that. Okay. Let's see. Had a fire drill at school. Oh, that's a bummer, Alex. With what you said, do you prefer Unreal Engine over Unity or others? I prefer Unreal Engine because I get to draw video games. That's basically how I look at it. I get to enjoy creation of stuff. Typing code is monotonous when you're wanting to screw around with stuff. And at this point, I like screwing around with stuff, having fun, and enjoying what I'm working on. And Blueprints makes programming feel like fun to me, rather than just typing in dots and double colons and trying to remember if it's a reference or a friggin' pointer, or if I need to dereference the pointer. And just like, for fuck's sake, I literally just want to make a game. I don't want to have to worry about the syntax anymore. Yeah. That's basically why I enjoy it. And there's nothing wrong with any of the other engines or any of the other languages. But if I'm making an accounting program, I'm using C++. And if I'm making a video game, I'm going to be using Unreal Engine because it's more fun. Mission objective in the HUD. More than likely, I will have to have a mission objective in the HUD as part of the I'll have to update the HUD. The nice thing is doing the shooting gallery and the assault mode will allow me to have different game modes and show how to have like a main menu where you can choose different games and then have the game modes control the UI and the score and basically what happens inside of each thing. So we get one game, our MVP FPS, but we technically, end up with the ability to use different game modes. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It is. This is going to be a lot of fun. I need to get sound. You know what? I think I might... Okay. Let's see. We're going to start with sound. And I want to do a sound effects manager. So that way, no matter how many times you're firing, you have one thing controlling everything. You basically, the items, pass it off to the manager. So the question would be... Well, okay. So, you know what? I like to see what other people do and their insights, because that's one of the points of this, because there may be something I miss. There may be a different way of doing this that might be easier, because the point of these series is for introductionary purposes, to slowly introduce new ideas. So for a sound, adding sounds is pretty simple. You can, let's see if I remember. I hope I put my controls in the controller. Okay, I did. So we're good there. So we have our action button 1 here, and it tells our pawn to use action button 1. And then our pawn handles action button 1 here, does the line trace, spawns the emitter if we hit something, and then you'd basically, it's somewhere in here we could just do a, like a play sound 2D. Or a play sound at location, whatever we want for our different play sounds. That's the easiest way to do this, but the problem you'd run into is if you have an ambient sound effect going and music going and your player's firing off with a machine gun, and let's say we let them have a machine gun where we're firing off 30 rounds a second, for example. We may want not 30 rounds to be fired. We may want something different to happen. So, I mean, if you were going to approach this, there's multiple different ways. I'm curious on how other people have either handled this or thought about handling it. Because there's honestly different ways. For example, if we make our weapons into an actual class. Oh, great. Look at... Oh, man, I'm going to find a bunch of warnings when I go through this again. Let's go back to what I was saying, though. Let's say you have 5 different weapons, and each weapon has different sounds. Do you create kind of like a data table that controls the sounds and the stats for the weapon? Do you create like a master blueprint class for weapons and then make child for each weapon, and each weapon physically holds it inside of itself as different variables? So that technically gives you the ability to even spawn variations of weapons rather than having them fixed. And that would include things like the sounds. Would I, for example, determine which weapon I have and then play the sound that's associated with that weapon right here? Or would I simply have, like, for example, I have in the way this is set up is when the controller presses the button, it tells the pawn we pushed a button. Would we do something roughly the same? Determine which weapon we have. Not even determine which weapon we have. We have interfaces. Basically, at this point in time, we simply say, hey, weapon, play your weapon sound. And then the weapon plays its weapon sound. And the nice thing about that, if you do it that way, is you could have a gun, for example, where we have a firing rate that's reasonable, and it fires off its own bullets based on sounds based on one sound file per shot. Or if you have something like a Gatling gun where it spins up, you could even have it where when you fire off the sound event here, it tells the Gatling gun, hey, I just fired, the player just fired up your weapon, and then the Gatling gun handles spooling up and then firing the bullets as a sound effect and then spooling down as needed. Would be nice to see a tank vehicle tutorial for Unreal Engine. That would be nice to see. Are we talking like a hover tank like Battlezone? Or are we talking a big old treaded tank that I have no idea how to even design? I could do a battle tank one, I think, because that's like floaty. That would be kind of easy. I mean, a battle tank would technically be like, you know, wee, full back. Actually, this is, here we go. I've done my battle tank. There we go. Here's my tank. Oh, I don't have jump in here either. I just noticed. I mean, you're pretty much having... Battlezone wouldn't be too bad. You basically might just use impulse instead of movement for something like this. So, like, you've got that little bit of floatiness to it when you let go. Because, I mean, honestly, this, if you're especially into a Battlezone, you just give it a little bit of impulse and things like that. But that would be kind of cool, a tank one. I have no clue how to do that, but that might be a really cool little series to do, because you'd end up using a custom movement type rather than a character movement type. Let's see. Let's throw it out as a concept right now. Tank movement. How can we do tank movement like Battlezone? Also, maybe a treaded tank type. Let's see. Tank helicopter tutorial that includes pawn possession. Well, that one's, the nice thing is that's super simple to do if you actually have a vehicle. Yeah. Here, let me just yeah. Because for example, yeah, it's physics, but for example, Alex, the way this is set up right now is I have my controller. My controller is me, the person. It doesn't, like, I push left mouse button and it fires a bullet. What it does is I push the left mouse button and it tells whatever pawn I'm controlling to react to the left mouse button being pressed. So that would basically allow if you set it up like that and you basically have the controller pass the input to the pawn and then the pawn handles it, it would allow you to easily basically unpossess your player, possess the tank, and they can continue using the same controls and you're now controlling the tank. So it's pretty simple if you do that, something like that. You basically use your controller appropriately and pass it along to the pawn. But I think that would be kind of cool if I can. I'll add it to my list. What if we did? Here, what if we did something like this? Possessing and controlling something. How could we expand our example to show controlling another object, like a vehicle or a turret, and like a vehicle or turret? Yeah, something like that. Basically, pawn possession. Yeah, that could work. Throw that in the MVP one, the FPS. Yep. Yes, I do. I have simple vehicle in here somewhere. I plan on working on it, but there's too much Final Fantasy and Paragon to have time to do Unreal Engine all the time. And back to what Headclout was mentioning about tank treads. I believe it's all animation based for the most part, but I have no idea. Tanks are so effing complicated just because of all the smaller parts. But I have those things in here. I'd love to work on stuff like that. That does sound like fun. I had no feedback about the sounds, so for the most part, we're getting near 12 o'clock. I have a feeling I'm going to think about it a bit more. But unless someone has a... Okay. What I was going to say is, unless someone has another idea about handling the sounds, I think I'm going to have... crap. Okay. This is why I'm in the middle of an oh crap moment. You have weapons that are basically single, not necessarily single shot, but single sound per action. I fire off a bullet, a sound is caused based on the bullet firing, and that's the end of that. It's a cause and effect. But then you have, even in something like an automatic fire, where it's a machine gun, you still have a distinct sound for each one. And for the most part, your weapon's probably not going to be too fast to cause an issue. But if you run into something where you're talking like a Gatling gun, where you're literally spewing bullets, where you might run into an issue, and most of the time, I'm pretty sure, from what I've seen, you actually end up, instead of running a individual sound per event, you end up running kind of like a sound loop. You have a spooling sound, you have your sound effect that is for your Gatling gun firing, and then you have a spool down sound. And it basically just loops the middle part of it based on the holding down of the fire button. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to create a sound management system in here that's capable of doing both. You know, I think, yeah, there's the sound cues, but this is what I'm thinking off the top of my head. I have it handling action button 1. So in our controller, when we press it, we handle action button 1. Well, I have another event for handling action button 1 released. And then I can basically pass that information along to the weapon, and then I will literally let the weapon handle itself. So if the weapon is a single shot weapon, and we're handling action button 1, and it says, okay, action button 1, we basically literally just, we're going to take this right here, and we're going to take this event and pass this event down to the character. The character is going to do its event. So in this case, if we have the weapon that's a line trace, we do this, or it's going to have a completely different branch in here for a projectile weapon. But somewhere in here, we basically pass the button down to the weapon, whatever weapon we have equipped. That weapon will then determine what it should do. So for in the case of a single fire weapon, if it doesn't already have a sound playing, it's going to go ahead and play the sound. If it's a sound loop weapon, we'll call it, like a Gatling gun, it will basically know if it's already handling the sound effect for it, and it'll know not to do anything because it's already handling the sound effect. And then when we handle the release event, pass it along to it, it'll know to either do nothing if it's a single fire weapon, because, well, letting go of the fire button really doesn't matter. And it'll also know that it should spool down the weapon. So I think that'll be the easiest thing to do. The goal of this one was to try to make it as not necessarily generic, but event handled as possible, so that way you can keep things as you don't have to design a system around ifs. I think that's what my goal here was. If you have this weapon, do this. If you have this weapon, do this. If it's this weapon, do this. I'd rather just hand everything off to the appropriate system and have the system handle it. And it makes sense for the weapon to handle its ammo system. It makes sense for the weapon to handle its sound system, because the weapon is what makes the sound. And the weapon controls its ammo, technically. How much per clip, how much you can fire in terms of the rate, and things like that. So what I'm going to need to do then is... I need to... I guess when we add in the projectile... Okay, so here's the problem. We're going to need to make a... Technically, we're going to need to turn this into a weapon class system. And that kind of has to affect both of these right here. If I add in firing modes... no, we're going to need to add the weapon class before firing mode. So here's another video. So, let's see. And actually, oh my god, technically it's part of the sound too. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an MVP FPS extra, and we're gonna call creating a weapon class. Let's see, create a base weapon class that will allow us to create more weapons in the future and have unique control over each one. Okay, cool. So that's what I'm going to work on next then. We're going to, because sound is going to be controlled by the weapon, fiery modes will technically be controlled by the weapon. Projectile weapon technically is a completely different class, but once we do this stuff, adding a projectile weapon should be pretty simple. So, and okay, so what we need to do then is move our firing code into the weapon. See? Yep, there we go. That takes care of that one. Because if we move our firing code into the weapon, then we don't have to worry about having this code right here. We have a line trace right here. This line trace is pointless for a projectile weapon. So we would basically have to do this. If it's a line trace weapon, do this code branch. If it's a projectile weapon, do this code branch. If we pass this information into the weapon, then the weapon can handle its line trace and then pass everything back. And I actually did this for one of the other games where basically I had this code in the weapon and then it passed the information back to the character or the controller. And then the character controller determined what to do based on if we hit anything or not. Cool. I think that'll be fun. I haven't heard any complaints, so either I'm doing something really stupid and people are confused and laughing their asses off right now, or people are confused and not laughing their asses off right now, or no one's disagreeing, which I'm happy with. Okay, and I need to code this stuff. Handle when we are setting sprint and update our stamina display. And I actually, before I end this, I'm going to fix my stamina display, which I have a feeling I can fix. Where is my user interface for our stamina display? We are... Our controller handles... Does our controller handle our UI? Who the hell controls our UI? Oh my god, it's been so long since I worked on this one. This is why you comment, and I have comments, which is great. Oh, no. I have a create HUD script, but where do I call the create HUD script? Oh, thank you, find references. Oh my god, where's this at? Holy crap. I have, okay. Oh my god. I forgot I separated the input graph from the event graph on this example. And of course I can't figure out, okay, maybe someone knows this. Is there a center button hotkey or something I'm missing? Like if you get lost way over here, how do I find my code besides double clicking on the events? If anyone happens to know that, like if there's a F. Nope, I have to have something targeted to F. I can't just like find code. Yeah, no, F should frame what I have targeted. It did. It used to. Oh crap! Did I break that too somehow? G. Oh crap. Okay, well, you know what's nice? We have this in here now. That's fine. Zoom to graph. Oh look. Oh, the home key zooms to selection. It's the home key is what it is. Okay, so let's see what happens if we have nothing selected. There you go. It's the home key. The home key will find something and zoom in on it. I knew there was a key for it, I just couldn't remember it. So in theory, if I'm in my input graph and I'm over here, what happens? There we go. Yeah, okay, so the home key. I knew there was a key for it, but I couldn't remember it because my keyboard is really weird. And also, I completely forgot I created 2 different graphs, one for the input and one for the events. Okay, so my player does handle this. So the nice thing is this should be really simple to fix. And I also put this code over here, which it should not be in here. Because these are just my inputs. Wow. See what happens when I wasn't paying attention? These should have been in the event graph right here. There we go. Handle updating score. I think that's updating wrong. Oh, for love of Pete. Okay, this is our begin play. I'll create our HUD and update our base variables. Then tell the game to start. I'm gonna have to recode a lot of this stuff. This is gonna be fun. And the nice thing is I now have an event called update stamina display, which there we go. Bloop. Seriously? Okay, I want to call. No, I don't want to show. Can I call that? No, I want to call. Thank you. Seriously, drag and drop did not work for that. That's, oh man, is that taking it? Ah, crap. Man, I coded obviously something really horribly wrong here at some point. Okay. I'm in the controller. Okay, so now we get to play What Did I Code 4 months ago? The fun game where we try to remember what we did 4 months ago and didn't comment it properly. We have our event right here, which takes in, so what we need to do is, oh crap, yeah, there we go. Let's try this again. There we go. Let's see, our controller, our character. So, here's our character. So we're sending the stamina button. Yeah, when the stamina, okay, decrease. Okay. So our player controller stamina. Our stamina is inside of our character, which makes sense. So now we run into a bunch of worms here. How do I oh. I can do this. For example, I could do let's see, this is do I have an interface, generic interface for this? See, I don't have a generic interface for this. So I'd have to do something like where's the code we're talking about? I have to do something like get player controller, get controller pawn, cast it to our FPS character, and then get the stamina, and then feed the stamina into here. Which I'm doing, yeah, see, which is the same thing I'm doing in there. The problem is, first of all, that's 1, 2, 3, 5 nodes, which gives me the correct value upon startup. But the issue here is I'm forcing myself to cast the character, and it's going to error out if something doesn't have stamina. It also might error out because under whatever circumstance, it's possible that the character spawns after the controller, and my controller is asking for the character. So either I was really stupid 4 months ago, which is possible, and I coded this very poorly, or we need a better way of doing this. Because the problem we run into is, in case anyone didn't notice, I brought this up earlier, we're starting off with text block stamina in the bottom right. Yeah, you can have no pawn. It's perfectly possible for this to come back. If I was to unpossess right now, the player controller would have no pawn. So it's definitely possible to return back null object. Because you don't have to have a pawn. Your controller can have nothing. Especially if you're, for example, if you're playing, your character dies, your pawn dies, gets destroyed, and you don't respawn it, then your controller has no pawn. Yeah, so that's why I technically am worried about this being null at certain points. But in this case, more than likely, the appropriate way of handling this is, since I already have things handled through an interface right here, and if our person we're controlling doesn't have stamina, for example, or we don't have a stamina display, so more than likely this right here, this code right here, should be macroed, because I'm using it in multiple spots. Look at that. Yeah, look at 3 different spots I'm using that same code. So more than likely that should be macroed, and it should be done right here. So have the actual character update its HUD appropriately. See, so there's the same result. Less chance of an error, because the only way this is going to update is if we actually have our player with has valid stamina. And then technically if our controller, let's say for whatever reason we don't have a stamina event in here, it simply won't fail because we're using a blueprint interface. This should be a macro, but anyways, that's the appropriate way. Let's fix these while I'm in here. Which is stupid, because all I'm doing is doing this. Where's the other ones? Oh, it's everything that's giant and yellow. That's probably what I should be paying attention to. I hope that was that hooked up to true? Did anyone pay attention? Yeah, okay, it was. Okay, how many more yellow ones we got? There we go. Yeah, it's funny. I can tell roughly which version I made a project in, because this one is a big one, and then there is the set input mode change where they added the enum to it. That's another one to know if it's an old project. Okay, compile. All right, we have no errors, and in theory, we didn't break anything. All right, look at that. Okay, now it's almost 12 o'clock then. I'm happy with that small fix and change. I'm going to, oh God, I need to start doing this. Hold on a second. Thankfully I have this video to refer back to. Let's see, updated old and dead nodes. Fix the stamina display on startup by adding this set in the character in begin play. Oh, what else did I do? Did I do anything else? Ah, crap. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I didn't mess with anything in there. Did I just comment stuff? I guess we'll find out here in a second. So let's see, we moved the stamina nodes from the input graph to the event graph in the controller. Let's see, let's check out our character. Did I put anything in here? Tested some stuff. Added that in there. I don't think we added any. Oh, I don't think I added any more code. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. I'm gonna have to save this. Desktop, greatest place to store stuff. MVP FPS, change log. There we go. Would having the pawn update the HUD directly be undesirable under any circumstances, assuming the different pawn classes have different HUD widgets? Um, having the pawn update the HUD directly. No, having the pawn update the HUD directly would probably be the desirable result if your game has different HUDs per pawn. If you think back to a game like the older Alien vs. Predator, we had the 3 different classes and each one had a different HUD. It makes sense for the HUD to be unique to the class, and that way it can update itself appropriately as needed. That's how I would do it. And that's how I usually design around that. I usually have the player control the HUD. But it depends on the things we're talking about as well. For example, if you're talking about a timer, this is how much time has elapsed in the game, then the player probably shouldn't have it, because if the player dies, then that HUD disappears. That should be something probably in like the game mode or something that should have direct control over it. The amount of progress might be in, for example, like the controller, because if the player gets destroyed, that's basically the easiest way of thinking about it. Assume that at some point it would get destroyed, and if it gets destroyed, it's going to be removed. Are you okay with that? If you are, then it's okay to have it in there. If you're not okay with that, then maybe you need to find something else higher up in the hierarchy chain to hold it. Are you planning on doing any minigame tutorials, like Frogger, Space Invaders, for example? I had thought about it. There is, however, a really good there is a really good forum thread in the content and tools that, of course, I'd have to find it. Oh, I hate finding stuff. But there is a nice person who has done a ton of basically that right there. They're not tutorials, unfortunately, but they are blueprint projects for learning of stuff like that. And it's just a bunch of classic games he's done blueprint examples of. And I know it's in here, I just can't find it. Oh, no, community content. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in here. He's got a ton of them in there, a ton of examples. Oh, man. I always forget to find it. Oh, well, dang it. I'm pretty sure it's not back. What are these files are from? I'm pretty sure it's not back this far. We're back almost a full month at this point, right? Oh, man. Well, I'm trying to find something. It's in here somewhere. Of course I can't find it. Dang it. Great, now everyone's watching me search for something. This has got to be the most entertaining video ever at this point. Okay, maybe I can, let's see, blueprint template. I think that's what it is. Oh, for frick's sake. Okay, UE4, blueprint, templates, old games. Maybe that'll work. I don't think this is it. Oh, it is this one. But this is okay. So I'm 99% sure this is the guy. Let's see if we can find the thread. Oh, where's his posts? Where's his posts? Oh, started threads. Here we go. Oh, here we go. I'm pretty sure this is it. There we go. This is what I was looking for. Oh my gosh. Okay. Learning templates blueprint power by this guy. He's got a bunch of newer stuff in here, but it's also, you can see here, Alien Invaders, Asteroids, Pong, like a tic-tac-toe memory game, and he's got, Sokoban, a dice game, Pac-Man, Snake. So he's got a bunch of projects in here, all done in blueprints that you could use for reference. I'd highly recommend looking through here. These things are really a great way of learning how to do some simple stuff in blueprints. I had thought about it, and I actually have... so anyways, if you're looking for that, it's on the Unreal Forums, Community Content Tools and Tutorials, and look for the Learning Templates Blueprint Power. Let's see if we can find the last link in here. 1114, yeah. Or you could look for the person who started it, MHOUSSE1247, or I can just not be a dum-dum. And I could actually copy paste the link because that would be a lot easier. Okay, so that's where I'd recommend to look. But along that lines for the question, I did originally decide I wanted to do something like that. I wanted to do a series on basic games like I had Brick Breaker and Arkanoid set up. But with the amount of time it takes to do a complete MVP series now, compared to the other stuff I have to take care of, it's just, I don't think I have enough time. I'm making the time to update this FPS one because I think it'll flow well into the multiplayer stuff next year. And these are smaller things I can do. But I'd love to be able to have the time to do it. I had planned on doing it, yes. But this right here is probably from like a year ago and it's still not work done. So, yes, I'd like to. No, I'm not doing anything right now. Okay, other than that, I think we're done with that stuff. And I'm done with that project. I'm going to start coding and documenting FPS stuff for the rest of the week. This is my goals. So what I'm going to do is, just in terms of my workflow, so it may or may not be enjoyable this week. Did I say I was going to do this next week? I'm doing this week. Anyways, is I'm going to do each of these in a different section, as if I'm doing it from scratch, because technically I am doing it from scratch. Then I'm going to write out the documentation in my notepad for redoing purposes to show people. And then I'll record these over the weekend, assuming I get them all done. You didn't mention too much, James. I just helped out the Nick with his problem finally. And then I pulled in my MVP series, MVP FPS series. Got it updated to 4.14. And I'm going to start working on adding, 10 more videos, it looks like. I'm going to work on this week. 10 more parts to the 9 more. I'm not kidding. I don't want to do animating crouch. But adding more videos to the series and basically adding some more stuff, trying to give it a little bit more oomph, and then trying to get it ready to basically work on learning multiplayer for next year. So give me a little bit more fun stuff this week. So that's what I worked on. But you actually came in right at the end too. I'm basically pretty much wrapping this up. So I hope some people got some stuff. I'm hoping some people got some questions answered. Same stuff as normal applies. I've got the spreadsheet. Just add a comment to if you want a request or comment on any of the videos, or send me an email. It's on the YouTube, or catch me on the stream and ask the questions, or do whatever the hell you want. Tomorrow is Tuesday, which means it's an official Epic stream. So I will not be streaming till after theirs is done. So probably around 12:30, 1 o'clock Pacific. I will not be streaming for long because the Monolith patch for Paragon comes out tomorrow, and I want to play that. But I will at least take care of getting our weapon class created tomorrow. So I'm going to do that. So everyone else enjoy their day today. I hope you have a good rest of your day, no matter how long it is, and I will see anyone tomorrow. I'm going to mute this for about 30 seconds so it doesn't just disappear.